Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just get right into it. The world of AI is moving at a breakneck speed. And if you're a business leader, the real question is, how do you make smart, strategic decisions right now? Today, we're going to break down a really clear playbook for this exact moment, so you can start to separate what's real business leverage from what's just hype.
So I want you to really think about this question for a second, because it changes the entire game. We're so used to asking, hey, what can this cool new tool do for me today? But this question, this forces us to ask, who am I actually empowering to run my business tomorrow? And that right there is a massive, and I mean massive distinction.
You see, we're in the middle of a huge transition. For the last couple of decades, we've lived in a Gen 3 world. You know, a world of individual apps that we buy and then we manage ourselves. But we are now stepping into Gen 4. And this is an era of orchestration, where AI systems are going to coordinate work across all of those apps. And what that means is that the old rules for buying software, they're basically obsolete.
Think about it. In the past, you'd look at an app and the logic was simple. What features does it have? What's the price? That's Gen 3 thinking. Gen 4 logic adds this crucial second layer. Now you have to ask, okay, is this tool just a tool, or is it positioning itself to become the coordinator, the brain for my entire workflow? You're not just buying a feature anymore. You might actually be choosing a future manager for your team.
And that brings us to this key concept of an orchestration layer. The simplest way to think about it is like a control tower for your business. It's the system that's going to initiate and execute work across all your different apps. So the real decision you're making isn't just about buying a tool. It's about deciding which systems you're willing to grant more authority, and more importantly, your trust.
All right, so to make this shift well, we have got to learn to look past the flashy demos. It is time to start focusing on the core things that actually create business value. And just as important, protect you from some really big risks down the road.
And what we're seeing is that most organizations, well, they fall into one of these three traps. You buy based on a slick demo, and you totally ignore how it works in the real world. Or you focus only on how intelligent it seems, and you miss the importance of trust and control. And the third one, waiting for certainty, that just means you lose out on the learning you need to make good calls later on.
So this gives us a whole new scorecard, one that's focused on business reality, not just tech hype. Instead of just asking, is it smart, we should be asking these questions. Can it take real bounded action? Can it reach across the tools we already use? And, maybe the most critical one, do we keep control? Can a normal person, a human, easily go back and audit what happened? These are the questions that really matter.
So let's build on that scorecard. Let's create a really simple framework for sorting all the new tools coming at you. This is how you can quickly start to tell the difference between a promising partner and, well, a potential problem, just by looking for strong versus weak signals.
So what's a weak signal? A weak signal is when a vendor's entire pitch is about the magic, right? They're focused on these impressive but totally superficial outputs. They're dazzling you with what a model can generate in a perfect, controlled setting, instead of proving it can actually work dependably in your messy, real-world workflow.
A strong signal, on the other hand, is when you can just feel that a tool is built around trust and control. It doesn't ask you for blind faith. No, instead it shows you exactly what it's going to do, what permissions it needs, and it gives you, the leader, an easy way to understand and, if needed, revoke that access. It's about transparency.
And this slide, this just shows the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got a tool that's basically trapped inside a single app. That's a weak signal. But on the other, you have a tool that can actually execute a multi-step workflow that remembers context from one step to the next, and this is so crucial. It fails safely and visibly when something goes wrong. That's the difference between a cool demo and a tool that's actually ready for business.
Okay, so using these signals, you can pretty much sort any new technology into one of these three buckets. You've got Learn Now, these are your safe experiments. Then Watch Closely, for the promising tech that's just not quite ready for deep trust yet. And finally, Delay or Avoid. This is for anything that's heavy on hype, but really light on the controls that we know matter. This gives you a clear roadmap for what to do next.
So how do you actually put this all into practice? Well, you don't need some massive, terrifying, one-time platform switch. What you need is a clear, disciplined playbook that lets your organization learn without getting locked in or overcommitting too early.
This four-stage process lets your organization move deliberately. It's simple, right? You start small with some exploration. Then you run controlled pilots on very specific bounded problems. And only after you've learned from those do you even think about redesigning core workflows and eventually scaling what works with the right governance.
The key is to start with tasks just like these. So why these? Because the workflow pane is super visible, and the review points are obvious. They're repetitive enough that automation helps, but they're not so critical that a mistake would be a catastrophe. It's the perfect way to maximize your learning while you manage your risk.
And as you run these pilots, you're doing something way more important than just fixing a single workflow. You are building crucial judgment. You are learning, firsthand, which vendors can actually be trusted to move from just simple assistance to supervised real-world execution.
These are the questions you need to be asking your team, and you need to be asking your vendors. They cut right through the sales pitch to get at a vendor's real strategy. Are they just building another helpful feature, or are they making a serious play to become your long-term indispensable control layer?
This right here, this should be your goal, a balanced posture. It's not about moving the fastest, it's about moving the smartest. This approach lets you maximize your learning and your competitive advantage while minimizing the huge strategic risk of getting locked into the wrong architecture too soon.
If you remember just one thing from all of this, make it this rule. The best choices, the absolute best choices, are the ones that give you real value today, making your team's life easier, while also teaching you what you need to know for tomorrow, all without forcing you to give away your future strategic options.
Because ultimately, this whole transition, it's going to reward the organizations that can distinguish genuine business leverage from just a fascinating new piece of tech. It's not about who adopts the most AI, it's about who develops the sharpest judgment. And building that judgment is the single most important capability your team can be working on right now.